Welcome, and thank you for taking some time out of your busy conference schedules to learn about the SAS Global Certification Program. Today, we want to help you get started on your certification journey and understand the benefits that await you as a SAS certified professional. My name is Matt Chicatano. I manage the certification program here at SAS. I'll be presenting today with my colleague Becky Gray. We've both been in the assessment industry for quite a while, as you can see, and I'm coming to you from Pennsylvania, and Becky will be in the SAS HQ in Cary, North Carolina. So I'm not sure about your motivation for choosing our session today, but I'm glad that you did. Maybe you've seen some colleagues posting certification badges on LinkedIn. Maybe you've already completed various training activities through SAS, or maybe you just wish to find the best way to showcase the talent and the skills that you've developed over the years. Whatever your motivation is for attending this session, we hope to pull back the curtain a little bit and help you get started and understand what to expect on your journey towards certification. I'll give you a quick overview of the certification program here at SAS, and then go on to hopefully help provide you with an understanding of why it makes sense to pursue a SAS certification. And if you're not new and you've attended a previous session or one of our webinars in the past, I want to make sure that I present you with some info on what's new this year around credentials and some programmatic changes. Then Becky will provide you with some great suggestions for how to prepare for your exam and what you should expect when you actually come along and test day arrives. Lastly, I'll talk a little bit about ways to get the most out of your digital credential, the one that you earn by passing your SAS certification exam. SAS has been offering certifications for about 23 years. We've come a long way since the beginning of the program. I can't say that I was here. In 1999, I think I was fresh out of high school. But you can see some of the major milestones along the way. We're very proud of the fact that over 150,000 people hold our credentials and have benefited from that over the past 2 decades. Two things that I'll note that we'll talk about later are the introduction of large-scale performance-based testing and also digital badges. These are two of our more recent program enhancements that add value to the credentials that we award. So when I was preparing this presentation, I was expecting a broad audience. We know that motivations to pursue certification for an undergrad finishing up their degree differ from those motivations for a seasoned analytics veteran. So I'm going to do my best to cover the importance and the value for many personas. But as we've learned over the years, the most common reason for pursuing a certification is to secure a new job. We know, especially in times of economic uncertainty, that competition for quality jobs is high. So why not recession-proof your resume, so to speak? So not every SAS-related job requisition you will find will require a SAS certification. However, when you read the skills and experience requirements of many of those job recs, more often than not, they're going to align with the skills gained and strengthened through preparing for and earning a SAS certification. And in conversations with hiring managers, we've learned that at the very least, certifications move a resume to the keep pile, and they often move that resume to the top of the keep pile. So not only are the resumes more likely to be reviewed, they're more likely to warrant an interview, and that interview process might just go a little more smoothly with that certification present on your resume. So in a nutshell, certification establishes a baseline of trust between the earner and the potential employer. And I'd just like to take a second and share with you a quote from one of the professors that teaches SAS curriculum at the University of Central Oklahoma. It says, one Chinese student applied for a job in China, but he didn't get any responses before posting the SAS Predictive Modeler certification to his resume. After obtaining the certification, he received many inquiries, and one company was eager to hire him right away. Another student was concerned about the lack of domain knowledge in getting a job, but 3 SAS certifications, Basic SAS Programming, Advanced Programming, and Predictive Modeler, helped him land a job after graduation. Also, another student got a job as a data scientist at USAA because interview questions are very similar to what she learned in the Advanced Applied Analytics course. So it's not only those pursuing a new job with a new organization that are motivated to get SAS certified, but also promotions and succession plans can be a motivator. The SHRM Foundation, who also offers their own HR professional certifications, did a review of alternative credentials. What they mean by that are any credential that is outside of a formal degree, things like micro-credentials, but most commonly professional certifications. And they found that these credentials are often considered greatly when putting employees up for promotions and when creating succession plans within an organization. But of course, there's always the money factor. So I'm sure none of you find money to be more motivating. A survey was conducted by Pearson VUE, our exam delivery provider, which included respondents with a vast range of industry-recognized IT certifications. And what they found was that over 50% of the candidates earning a certification received a considerably higher than average salary increase. And 55% of those that did receive a pay increase saw that within 3 months of earning the credential. When they got to 6 months, that number climbs to over 75%, realizing that increase in their paycheck. What might that look like in real life for SAS professionals? So year after year, SAS has made the Certification Magazine Salary Survey 75 list. This is out of several hundred industry recognized credentials. And the compensation numbers have varied over the years, but the average salary for a base SAS programming professional came in last year around $93,000. It was $93,000 in the US, and that was about $59,000 outside of the US. We also saw the advanced analytics professional on the list for the first time at over $80,000. And remember, these are just two of the 25 plus credentials that we offer. Some more rigorous and specialized than others that will play a factor in the benefits that you see. In short, the skills acquired through preparing and executing on your certification are worth the investment and are rewarded in the job market. So if new opportunities, prestige, or money aren't really your thing, well, we also see satisfaction in your abilities and a positive impact to your organization as major factors motivating users to get certified. Here's what we found out when we took a deep dive into our most popular programming certification and how it helped those that earned it perform on the job. 79% said SAS certification has increased their workplace productivity. 75% being certified has increased my problem-solving skills. 75% also said since becoming certified, there is a greater demand for my skills. And still, a majority say that they use the skills learned or enhanced by their credential while earning their credential at their current job at least weekly. So if you're interested in more information on the benefits and the long-term value of certification, visit our recently created website on the screen now at www.sas.com/y-get-certified. I hope at this point I've convinced you that certification might be right for you, and you might be wondering, where do I start? This is a listing of all of our current certification offerings. We offer 26 different credentials on various products, job roles, and concepts. Each of the certifications listed here has its own dedicated page that explains what the exam covers, the details of the exam, and much more. Becky will cover some of those more important details of what you can find on those individual credential pages that are things related to training and preparation in her segment. All the credential pages can be accessed through www.sas.com/certification, and then you'll see a listing or a menu of the buckets: programming, visual analytics, advanced analytics, administration, data management, etc. You can scroll through those groups to find the certifications or the credentials that might be of interest to you. Okay, so what have we been up to since last year? Some of you may have joined us last year, and I'd like to talk about some of the things we've done since that time. Here at SAS, we follow a very rigorous process, an industry best practice to put our credentials through this process to assure validity, reliability, and fairness. And we're constantly improving and revising our content to protect the integrity of the program and those credentials that are out there in the market. So I know the slide says what's new in 2022, but really that's just because it was cute and rhymed. First, I want to take a minute just to mention two of the certifications that we announced, I think, in this session last year, and then they were released about a year ago. And those are VIA programming certifications. There is a specialist level and associate level certification for VIA programming. And these certifications cover CASL programming and procedures, modifying data steps and SQL and CAS, and other topics related to programming in SAS VIA. Another newly released certification, this is brand new, and this is Model Ops. It's a certification in an increasingly important domain. So if you're not familiar with Model Ops, think DevOps for model planning and execution. And we cover the Model Ops framework, developing a proposal, and then deploying and managing those models in production. Also new this year, Visual Analytics. This was updated to have one version of the exam that can be prepared for on any of the current SAS training that's available. So whether it's SAS 9, VIA 3, or VIA 4, all of that training that we offer for VA can be leveraged to go ahead and take this credential or take this certification exam. We've also added some additional preparation content to supplement the associated training as well. And a few others that are expected to be released by the end of the year. We will have an overdue revision of our clinical trials exam. The new release will be a professional level certification. We'll also be adding the base specialist certification as a mandatory prerequisite to take the clinical trials test. Additionally, we'll be releasing a dedicated practice exam. There was never a dedicated practice exam for the clinical trials exam. There was the practice exams for base and advanced that you could take to help prepare, but this will be dedicated to clinical trials. And additionally, we'll be releasing a prep guide for this exam as well, which did not exist with prior versions. That may trail the exam by a little bit, but that's expected to come out soon after the exam is released. And lastly, we are deep into the process of revising the SAS VIA Administrator Specialist certification. This is to take it, it's upversioning it from VIA 3.5 to VIA 4. And as you may know, administration is definitely one of the areas of SAS that is most different between VIA 3 and 4. So look for the VIA admin credential to be available by the end of the year as well. If you were paying attention to the last slide, you noticed the mention of some of the certifications being unversioned or non-versioned. And here's what I mean by that, and here's why it's important to you. Historically, SAS certifications have all carried a version number in the title. They didn't expire, but they naturally became less relevant as the version numbers progressed. Now in a CI/CD world where releases are faster, they're not as transparent to the end user, we've decided to take those versions out of the titles. So you'll hold a credential that is not tied to a specific version. However, to make sure that credentials remain current, we've added a 5-year expiration date to all credentials being built on VIA 4 and beyond. Credentials with an expiration date, we'll have that noted on the individual credential page that I talked about earlier. And these will roll out over time as any of the existing credentials are updated to VIA 4 and beyond. Something else that I'm really excited to talk about is the fact that, well, we started rolling this out at the end of 2021, but now I think early in the year, maybe February, March, it was all rolled out. And this is free practice exams for our exams. So all of the exams that have a practice exam, not every single one does, but most do at this point. Anyone can take them for free through our virtual learning environment. That's a huge value to you. To me, it's a no-brainer that taking a practice exam is a good idea prior to your test. But if you like data, like we do, we've crunched the numbers and we've found that those who pass the practice exam across the portfolio, those that pass the practice exam had a 17.5% higher pass rate on the live exam than those who did not take or pass the practice exam version. And also those who took the practice exam, so just took it, regardless of their score, had an 8.15% higher pass rate on the live exam than those who opted not to take it. And when you think about the number of folks that may fail with by just a few points, that 8% to 17% higher pass rate can be significant to pushing you over the bubble and kind of separating the lucky from the prepared. Becky will talk a little bit more about how to best leverage a practice exam in your study plan during her segment, but they are out there. They're available for free. You should take advantage of that. And then lastly, for the students watching this presentation, I wanted to mention that in December of 2021, we released SAS Skill Builder. What Skill Builder is a free 24/7 virtual learning environment where students from colleges and universities can learn SAS skills and earn valuable certifications that employers seek. It features e-learning, certification exam preparation materials, exclusive certification exam discounts, and resources to inspire students and help them succeed. So students from across the globe can access free resources in Skill Builder by creating a SAS profile using their academic affiliated email address. I think with that, I'm going to pass this over to Becky, and she's going to talk with you about tips and tricks for preparation and preparing for your exam. Becky?
Thanks, Matt. Next, I'm going to talk about exam prep and specifically preparation tips, tricks, and more for preparing to take a certification exam. If you go to sas.com/certify, you will see that for every credential we offer, we provide information on training and links to that training so that you can register for those classes if you'd like to register for training. We provide detailed exam content guides that you can download and use as your study guide. And we also offer links to books and to white papers and to other publications. We provide sample questions to give you an idea of the types of questions you'll see on the exams. And we also offer practice exams for our credentials. And those practice exams are completely free of charge. Also, make sure that you check out my colleague's YouTube videos. Mark Stevens has produced a number of excellent exam prep videos, and you can find those on the SAS Users YouTube channel. And those videos that Mark has produced are really good videos that give you lots of tips and tricks about preparing for certification exams, but specifically preparing for those exams that are performance-based, where you're actually doing programming activities and exercises in order to be able to answer test questions. So those videos are very, very useful. So let's talk a little bit about the free practice exams. If you look at the URL on this slide, we do offer all of our exams have a practice exam, and those practice exams now are completely free of charge. We used to charge a little something for the practice exams, but now they're completely free. And let me remind you that we've done some statistical analysis, and remember that the pass rates are 17.5% higher for the cohort of people who passed the practice exam versus those who didn't take it. So in other words, people who take the practice exam do better on the actual exam than people who don't. And there is a marked increase in their overall score. So make sure you check out those free practice exams. We have a webinar series, and the webinar series is sponsored through the SAS certification community site. And these free webinars have been going on now for about 4 years, and they cover all kinds of topics, including certification basics, programming, advanced analytics, BI and analytics, and data management. And we even just got done doing one on our brand new Model Ops exam. So these webinars are archived, and they're a ready resource for you, and I highly recommend you checking those out. Regarding the programming credentials, you may be wondering which credential is best for you. And so we've put together a very handy comparison chart that you see here that compares all 3 credentials and lets you see the difference between the associate programming certification and the SAS Certified Base Programming Specialist and the SAS Certified Advanced Programming Professional. And it talks a little bit about, what's the difference between the formats. For instance, the associate exam is just multiple choice, whereas the programming specialist and the programming professional are both performance-based exams. Also, the amount of experience that you have is important, and that's listed here on the chart. So recommend you checking this out if you're trying to figure out, where to get started with one of the programming credentials. So finally, I want to talk a little bit about test anxiety. We all have test anxiety, and I want to talk a little bit about ways to reduce your anxiety before test day and on test day. So I've created a couple of little charts here with some tips and, not tricks, but just tips mainly on, reducing your overall test anxiety. So the first is to review our SAS policies. Make sure you go out and review those FAQs about the SAS Global Certification Program, and the URL is on this slide. You really want to make sure that you allow yourself time to study. Use that exam content guide to help plan your studies. It provides all the very detailed exam testing objectives that we expect you to know that content before you go and sit the exam. And this is a great way to outline your study plan and to say, okay, on this week I'm going to be covering these objectives and whatnot. So also, I can't say enough about making sure that you take those practice exams. The practice exam is, very, it's free, so why not take it? But the timing of when you take that practice exam is important. Don't take that practice exam at the very beginning of your study process. Take that practice exam as a true gauge at the end of your studying to see how well you would do on the actual live exam. The practice exams are designed to be at the same difficulty level as our live exams, so taking it at the end as a way to gauge what you know and don't know is a much better way of using it than to try to take the practice exam at the beginning of your study process and say, oh, I missed this, so I need to study this, that, and the other. So it's much better to take it at the end. Also, give yourself enough time to absorb the information. If you've taken training and then you're trying to study for the exam, that's a lot of content. Give yourself enough soak time to make sure that you allow yourself time to go back to lab activities, to practice with the software, and to absorb the information. Next, you want to make sure that you're prepared. Okay? Preparation is key to reducing your overall test anxiety. Make sure you read all the information on our credential web pages, and if you're taking a performance-based exam, make sure you review those tips and strategy articles and watch those videos that I was telling you about earlier with the tips and the tricks for doing the performance-based exams. Finally, you want to make sure that you check out your computer system. You want to complete any necessary system checks if you're taking the exam online through the Pearson OnView system. When you register for that exam, Pearson VUE provides a link to do a systems check as part of their overall process. Make sure that you are following all those details, and also make sure that you are using the machine that you plan to use on test day when you're running those tests. Also, we recommend that you use a wired connection rather than a wireless one when doing the testing. Finally, you want to make sure that you plan ahead. Plan to arrive early if you're going to a Pearson VUE testing center. If you're testing online, plan to be completely set up and ready to go and ready to check in before your actual appointment time for an OnView testing event. So let's talk a little bit about actual test day. So you've done all this preparation, so being prepared going into test day should help reduce your test anxiety. A little bit of anxiousness is probably normal, but some things that you can do before, actually on test day to alleviate any test anxiety would be, first, to make sure that you're well rested. Make sure that you get eat a decent meal or a healthy snack before you go and take that exam. You want to give yourself enough time. Once again, can't emphasize this enough. You want to give yourself enough time to get to the test center if you're taking the exam at a Pearson VUE testing center. And then you want to make sure that you give yourself enough time to set up your testing space if you're, planning to test online. You also want to make sure that you have the proper IDs with you. So you've got to make sure that you're carrying your proper IDs with you to a Pearson VUE testing center, and make sure that the name that you used when you registered for the exam is the same name that's on your IDs. Those have to match. So make sure that you've got that all checked out. You want to make sure that you take time to read all the instructions and that you follow all the candidate rules thoroughly. So make sure that you read through everything. Finally, take your time. Make sure that you take your time. Take time to read through the exam questions carefully. You've done all this preparation. Don't make careless errors by rushing through. We give you enough time to take the exam, and hopefully, if you know the content, you'll have a little time to review the questions at the end. Make sure that you read through everything carefully and take that time. Another tip that I'd like to offer is to go out to the Pearson VUE site that you see listed here, and they have 2 very good videos on what to expect during the exam. They've got one that goes over what to expect when you are testing at a Pearson VUE testing center, and then they've got another one that it talks all about the OnVUE testing experience, which is the online proctoring experience through Pearson's OnVUE system. And both of these videos are excellent, and they'll go a long way to giving you a feel for what to expect on test day itself. And I hope that these tips and tricks and all the preparation material that we provide to you will go a long way to helping you feel comfortable and to reduce that overall test anxiety. Thanks, and Matt, back to you.
Thanks, Becky. So over 6 years ago, although it feels like yesterday, we were signing a contract with a new vendor to issue digital badges. Since then, SAS has expanded our badging program to include more than just certifications, and COVID-19 has rapidly accelerated our already increasingly digital lives. Our vendor of choice is Credly, and we work with them to recognize and maximize the impact of the credentials that you earn. The digital badge is more than just a digital representation of a paper certificate. It's essentially replaced the paper certificate with a living, breathing, skills-based economy. Let's take a minute and just unpack that. As we've discussed, it's becoming more common for validated skills to be accepted as an alternative to a traditional 4-year degree. These skills have become a currency in the job market that is facing shortages in many skill areas, including statistics and data analytics. Your digital badge is not only a representation of an accomplishment, but an indicator of the important skills that you possess that hold value in the labor market. Every single SAS certification earned receives a digital badge, and I want to take a minute to walk you through the process of putting your badge to work for you. You open your badge and you click on the skills tags that are contained within. Let's go with this skill, macro programming, which is found in the metadata of our Certified Professional Advanced Programming badge. You click on that. Each skill, including this one, will lead to a page that contains job openings sourced from over 25,000 job boards, top locations where those jobs are located, salary ranges, top companies looking for those skills, a series of related skills that you may be interested in adding to your skills wallet, and some other related badges you may wish to invest your time in earning. Let's click on this job here. It's listed on this page. You'll be sent directly to that job rec. And here is an excerpt from that job rec. You can see skills validated through the certification listed throughout the job rec, as well as a series of related skills, many of which could be gained through working towards other certifications that we offer, things like statistical modeling, data visualization, and machine learning, just to name a few. If you decide that this is a job that you're interested in, if you were to scroll a little bit further down here, at the bottom of the page, you're going to find a link to actually directly apply for that job. So maybe you're not proactively looking for a job, but as we discussed throughout today's presentation, you've taken the initiative to build your skill set, maximize the capital in your skills wallet. You like to be in the conversation, right? So there's some new features that Credly has released and some things that they are working on that are going to help you maximize your certification investment through your digital badge. In short, corporations hiring folks can send their job requisitions to Credly. Credly can map those requirements to relevant skills and credentials across the badges, across all the badges that individuals hold. And then Credly can then take that and produce a curated list of top candidates that are meeting these required skills. So the point here is that we here at SAS pledge to continue to invest in value-added offerings to help you trade your skills for gain in this skills economy. You made this investment in yourself, and if you tell the world your professional story, I can't guarantee that you will definitely find your dream job, but there is a good chance that your dream job might just find you if you leverage your badges the right way. That's it for us for today. I just want to say thank you again for taking the time out of this conference schedule to join us. I hope that we passed along some valuable information to you about certification, about getting started, maybe pull back that curtain just a little bit to where you know exactly how to get started and what that certification journey might look like to you. So we appreciate your time. If you want to contact us, if you have any additional questions, feel free to visit the website or email us directly, certification@sas.com. We're happy to get back to you with any information we can to help increase your chances of being successful in your certification journey and passing that exam. So with that, I wish you the best of luck, say thank you, and we'll see you again another time.